Hi, I'm Ryan Bridge, and I'm excited to host a new podcast called Bridge Talks Business with Milford, where I'll be talking about, well, business, obviously. Every week, I'll be joined by one of Milford's team of analysts, fund managers, and financial experts to cover key business events. It'll be your go-to for insights on the markets, business, and the economy, both here and overseas, as we dig a little deeper into the business week. Join me for Bridge Talks Business with Milford. Subscribe on iHeart or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. All discussions are informational only and should not be considered financial advice.
You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Finds McKenzie, kicks it over the touchline. The capital curse ends. And the All Blacks win Sam Cane's 100th, his final on home soil. TJ Perenara's final on home soil, 33-13 over the Wallabies at Sky Stadium.
Yeah, final test on home soil for Sam Cane and for TJ Perenara, but will that be their final test full stop? The All Black squad for the end of season 2 are revealed at 2 o'clock tomorrow for test matches against Japan, England, Ireland, France and Italy. It's a tough tour. Scott Robertson will name a 36-man touring party, while a 29-man All Blacks 15 squad will also be named for matches against Munster and Georgia, that side to be coached by Clayton McMillan. There's also been word, and Scott Robertson confirmed this, that there may well be movement of players between the two squads. So what are we, 65 players there are going to be announced in one of those two squads tomorrow afternoon. Let's bring in Sir John Kirwan, 96-match All Black, former international coach, now a major part of Sky Sports coverage of the All Blacks through commentary, analysis and his role on the breakdown. JK, thanks for joining us. Can I start with the halfbacks? Do you think TJ Perenara will go on this Northern Tour?
No, I don't. I think that with Roygaard coming back, I believe that it's time possibly to take some risks. TJ's been amazing, signed with Japan. I put him in the same category as Sam Cane. At some stage, I think we've got to give some of these younger guys a bit more of an opportunity. So for me, both Sam Cane and TJ Perenara just might miss out and it might be time to move on.
So is that's your view? What do you think Razor will do? Because if he doesn't take TJ, he's got Cam Roygaard, 5 test matches, Cortez Ratama, 8 test matches, Noah Hotham, 1 game off the bench. Does he leave himself a little bit light at halfback?
Yeah, totally. I don't think he leaves himself light. He leaves himself light on experience. So, I think it's a massive question. If he decides to take them, I get that as well, because what he's trying to do is, that by the end of the season, this is an incredibly difficult Northern Tour. You start with Japan, which they're not going to take some of the more experienced guys. They're going to send them straight to the UK. Then you've got England, Ireland, France, and Italy. So, I think I would understand if he took them, but then, what did you mention? Roygaard 5.
Ratama 8. Yeah, no, Hotham 1. Yeah.
So when they get back from Europe, what do you want their numbers to be? Do you want them to have 7, 10? They sort of say that to win World Cups, you need to have sort of 28 to 30 test matches under your belt to understand what it's all about. So, I think it's a massive call. I think it's the most interesting part of this selection. And possibly Locke. What's he going to do with Locke? I think Tupoivai was probably my player of the series from an improvement point of view. Sort of the line-outs, was great around the field. So I think that's a real positive. But then do you take Josh Lord? Do you take Sandari? What do you do at lock, where I think there's a little light? And then the loose forwards is really interesting. I don't know what happened to Dalton. I watched Counties last night and he got injured late, sort of limped off. So what are we going to do at loose forward? Are we going to take some of the young guys like Yossi Lakai, or are we going to stick with Sam Cane? So I think it's time, mate. I think it's time. We're 2 years away from a World Cup, so that's what I'd be doing. All
right, so Sam Cane's an interesting one to me. With halfback, you've got Roygaard, Ratama, Hotham, so you've got guys queuing up. Who is the number 7 beyond this year? Let's say Cane goes and plays, but he's not there next year. Who is the All Blacks open side flanker in 2025 and moving through the next World Cup cycle?
I think it's Dalton. I think it's Dalton because of our loose forward mix. I think Satiti's come on, as we all know. Artie's playing well at number 8, and I think how we used to have our traditional 7 has now changed. Our 7 is now playing like a 6. Like when you think about Sam Cane, incredibly defensively, incredible work rate around the ruck, but probably not a ball carrier anymore, So they're leaving the ball carrying to Satiti and to Artie, which makes our 7 then like our 6 used to be. So a very tight individual who's doing that hard work, which then gives you the balance to free up other guys. So I think Dalton is best suited if that's the role we're going to play. And then I think from a pressure point of view, we've got some of these young guys coming through, Lakai, Yosser, guys like that are probably more multi-talented. They can play in many positions. But I think the interesting thing about the last Test match, no one really played out of position. We had Will at fullback, we had Bowden at 10, we had Anton Leonard-Brown at 12, Rico at 13. Everyone was playing in their specialist position, which I think is a good thing.
What's happened to Mark Talea this year?
I just think he's tired. I just think he's... I was thinking about that the other day. I wonder whether, they need to have a look at his fitness program. I just think he looked like he's a little bit tired and lost a little bit of that zing. And sometimes that could be training. Sometimes that can be just tiredness. So, I think the outside backs is another real good one. You've seen Mark come off a little bit of form and then Caleb come into form. So I think that's another real interesting position out wide.
So Damien McKenzie goes, Bowden Barrett goes. I want to get to who starts at 10 in a moment, but who goes out of Stephen Petafeta and Harry Plummer?
Oh, I think Stephen Petafeta will probably go. Plummer plays 12, whereas Petafeta's a 15-10, but I think Stephen, is probably their preferred option in that 10-15 cover, and so I think he'll go.
Who do you think will start at first 5 against England in 4 weeks' time?
I think it depends on what style of rugby you want to play. I think that Damien's done an amazing job. I think Damien's been really, really good. Does he need to learn to control the last 20? Probably yes. And he'll learn that. But I also loved him coming off the bench. I've always said that he probably won't like this, but I always think we've missed him coming off the bench, and he did the same last week. So I think it'll be about a style of play that they want, and I think they'll be able to use that as an option, against England. What sort of 10 do you want versus Ireland,
And just to finish, JK, let's assume the All Blacks should beat Japan and Italy. What's an acceptable win-loss ratio in the other 3, England, Ireland, France, in consecutive weekends?
Oh, look, I think for me it's coming down to the wire, something that I don't think Super Rugby is setting ourselves up for anymore. I think we've got to go down to the wire and beat these sides, So for me, getting down, winning a game by 2 or 3 points would be ideal. I think if we can beat Ireland, that's going to be pretty heated, and one of England or France, and I think France are going to be incredibly difficult at home. So if we can come away, lose one, and win the rest, I think that'd be outstanding. But if we lose 2, then down to the wire, and it's maybe a kick. So we know that we're there and competing, and this young side is learning, that pressure game in the last 15 minutes.
All right, JK, thanks for your thoughts this afternoon. Appreciate it very much indeed. Sir John Kirwan there, former All Black, member of the panel on the breakdown on Sky. No doubt they'll have more to say on that tonight.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.